Hello, everyone. Just set that up. How are we all doing? Okay, let's just get started. We don't have as many this week, thankfully. We've finally caught up with the backlog. We only have 30, I think 32 to go through this time instead of like 100. So it's been a lot more manageable to go through them, which means I can probably go a little bit slower today, so we can take more time to read more of the questions, and I might talk about them a bit longer. So let me get the suggestions up. Let's find the first one. Get to my list as well. Oh, there we go. Oh, I've just noticed there's a oh, I've put the wrong thing on. Hold on, I have to remake the list. 1 second. Technical difficulties. Da, da, da. Delete. Give me 2 seconds to remake it. I've made them the wrong shape, so it's cutting off people's suggestions. Hold on. Make a template. Let's just turn that off for right now. Okay. 2 seconds while I fix this. There we go. And then I put square landscape. There we go. Unlikely and modders. Doesn't want me to click submit. Why doesn't it like? Okay, it's happy now. And then we can go into presentation mode. Okay, let's go. Okay, we're back on. So the first one is going to be multiplayer platforms. I'll just see what Yoshi's saying. He's messaging me. Okay. So this one says, multiplayer platforms. I have an idea by Mysterious Man. I have an idea of how the game can handle multiplayer. Private world, small server, open server. Private world, maximum of 5 players, maximum of 5 people can play on it at a time. Requires the host to be online. Only friends and the owner moderation. Okay. Small server, maximum of 10 players. Player servers. Oh, there's about server sizes. And then open server, and then so I can talk to this. That's not how I'm planning for this to work. It'll be probably there's a few ways that this can work, and there'll be different phases of multiplayer. But let's just talk about what I'm planning to do first, and not what the future plans are. So the first plan, it'll be just simply similar to Minecraft, or at least Minecraft, especially how it was in early days. There's no realms or anything like that. It's just there is a server file. You can run your own server, or third parties can host servers. You join that server with your friends. You can make it private, have a password, and play with your friends. So that can be a small server, or it could be a huge server with as many as the machine can handle, which would hopefully be up to hundreds. But like I said, multiplayer is not happening first. Survival first, then multiplayer. Okay, so let's put that one. We'll put it in May. Oh, it's not going to really work that way. It's kind of a hard one to put on the list here. Yeah, we'll just put it as a maybe because it's something like that. Okay, next one is Low Poly Explosion Effects by Nirichi. I feel with the entire world having lots of sharp edges and corners, the circular explosion flicks looks a bit out of place. So I presume this would be, they must have posted this just after the explosions video. So having them be low poly as well would be great. I think especially because the trails for the meteors have that low poly particle trail and the explosion effects don't fit. Well, there's a reason that the explosion effects don't fit with the asteroid. That is, I did not make the explosion effects. I just grabbed them quickly as something to use for a placeholder. Whereas the trail for the meteor I did make, and it was just something I quickly made again. I think both the trail for meteors, if we're going with this kind of stuff later, it all needs like fitting into our art style and doing properly, not just quickly thrown together so it looks good for a video, or good enough, should I say? Is it because a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to art so far, is as long as the code works, that's good. The art side just has to be good enough for now. We can come back later, make that look pretty, fit it in with the world, optimize it, because that's the main slowdown with explosions at the minute is actually the particle effects, and if you have too many of them, it then slows the whole game down. So that'll probably happen. I haven't quite decided how explosions will look, but yeah, we probably will go with something that's a bit more low poly. So this one can go into plan, this, or somewhat planned, because I think low poly is maybe the wrong word for it. It's going to be like a stylized explosion rather than just necessarily low poly. Oh, I'm just looking at chat now. Oh, thanks, Sebastian. You've gifted another 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Well, congratulations to everyone that got one. Okay, next one. Anti-meteor griefing. So this will have been posted, I presume, after, yeah, the explosion videos as well by Declaring Egg. I propose 2 solutions to make the random meteor strikes less annoying. 1. Do what Terraria does and have meteors check to see if there are any containers with items inside a certain radius from the spot they target. Having a designated block for this, like a force field, as a few people on today's YouTube video suggested, would be cool, but it would also leave your base vulnerable until you get access to these resources to craft that block. Tying to something that everyone is going to have in their base already is much better gameplay wise, in my opinion. 2. If a meteor hits somewhere random, destroying only natural blocks, the craters should very slowly fill over time, as if weathering and erosion are smoothing it over. This would prevent planets from irreversibly turning into Swiss cheese messes after a lot of playtime. But I imagine it would be a lot more annoying to implement. You'd have to do something like saving exactly which blocks gets destroyed by an explosion, then somehow choosing random ones on the edge to replace. Okay, I can talk a bit more about this one. So I think there's a few ways we can go with meteors. Now, there's one suggestion that I liked. So this won't be like the default option, but it should be an option to have meteors be like an extra challenge. So you can turn it on in generation, goes, I want crazy meteors. They're going to come throughout the whole game. They're going to destroy my base now and then, but it's a challenge thing. That's fine. But the average playthrough shouldn't be like that. And we don't want it to go around just destroying your planet and you come to this hellscape of a planet. That would be terrible. So I think the normal mode, so that not the disabled mode, would be that meteors don't fall like randomly on the starting planet. But what can happen is just after you've loaded in some chunks, so you're in a fresh area, and that one's designated as basically part of the generation, that there's a meteor strike. So it would generate, the meteor would come and explode, and that meteor would have resources, say, that you'd want to mine. But on some of the other planets, so the crazier worlds, I plan for them to have meteors pretty much like, they're in an asteroid belt or something, and they're constantly getting pummeled by meteors. But that's part of the planet design. But by that time that you're able to fly to that planet, you'll have the equipment to be able to build yourself defenses against the meteors. So, it's part of the gameplay then. But yeah, you don't want to be spawning in, I think, into a brand new world, tum-to-tum. Oh, it's the first night. I've built myself a little house, and then massive meteor comes in and destroys everything. And then you have to start again. That's not fun. But it's a cool challenge mode. Okay, so that can go into planned. I suppose we're doing it slightly differently because we're not going to do the Terraria. So we'll go maybe, because I don't think we're going to do it the same way as Terraria does. And I don't think we're going to fill stuff in after the meteor. Maybe on the planet that's constantly bombarded by meteors, it's going to fill in as much as they dig holes, so you kind of keep the same amount of terrain, because you don't want it just constantly to be digging down to the bottom of the planet. But that would be more of an instantaneous thing. Okay, next one. This is by Mysterious Man again. Mimics. The classic treasure hunting monster that attacks you if you fail to recognize it before opening a chest. This can come later once you implement structures with loot. And yeah, I kind of like the idea of mimics. I'll put that one again in maybe, because I don't want to hard commit to any like monster types, but I was already leaning towards this kind of idea that we would have some sort of mimic. I know everyone loves the barrel. If there was a barrel mimic, that would be kind of fun as well. Yeah, because you kind of want. I talk about the scariness level of the game previously. It's like we don't want a horror game, but mimics can be scary without being like horror. So it's a surprise. You go, oh look, there's this nice barrel or chest or whatever, or we decide to put them to, and you run up and then you try and interact with you, and then it attacks you, and it's a bit of a jump scare, which is kind of fun, and I think fits with the game. Next one, Explosion Resistance by Just-in-Time Cuber. Some blocks should have explosion resistant properties, which reduce the effective explosion radius within those blocks. Additionally, a wall of explosion resistant blocks could provide protection to weaker blocks behind them. For example, suppose a type of stone has explosion resistance 3, then an explosion that would normally destroy a 15 blocks radius would only destroy a 5 block radius. One idea for how this could work is to process blocks from the inside out of an explosion, with each block is checked by the explosion logic to only allow it to be destroyed if at least one adjacent or diagonally adjacent blocks have already been destroyed, or was air that would have been destroyed, and then the explosion radius divided by the explosion resistance of the block is greater than that of the radial distance of the block. That's kind of a mouthful, but I get what you're saying. This could also be randomized slightly. Perhaps there could also be a second pass where certain blocks are tried again if they weren't destroyed the first time. Okay, yes. This is already planned. Obviously, in the video that I did to start with explosions, we're just cutting out basically a perfect sphere, and then I was making some jaggediness on the edge just out of randomness, just to make it look like it wasn't a perfect sphere. But yeah, I'm planning to do... Now, a lot of comments on the YouTube, I don't think... Maybe someone said it on here, but was that we should use ray casts for explosions, not a sphere cast. Now, the reason I want to use a sphere cast and not a ray cast is the sphere cast is a lot faster to compute, which means we can have bigger explosions. If we choose to do ray casting, it kind of limits your size of your explosions, because of how expensive it is to compute. But then with the ray casting, it's easy to detect a block that can't be destroyed and then not destroy stuff behind it. Okay, that's good. But we can still do the same thing with sphere casting, or at least I think we can. I should caveat here, I haven't programmed this yet. But what I think we can do is basically kind of like how Justin's talking about it. You can kind of start each layer, check it explode, and then you check the next layer, and the next layer is checking the layer below it to see if it's broken. And then that becomes kind of like an A-star flood fill. So you're then doing a flood fill out the way. But what that will also do is it'll fill in behind stuff that isn't... So, you know... I don't know how to describe this. Let's see. Let's say this calculator here is my explosion barrier. And then... Oh, here. This is my explosion. So this would go off. In theory, you could go around with this kind of method, and you'd still be able to destroy stuff behind this shield, which we don't want. So my other thought is to, instead of letting it curve round with the A-star kind of like flood fill algorithm, was to do a type of, what's it called? Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's called occlusion culling. That's what I'm looking for. So instead, this would act as an occluder, and then we create basically an occlusion mask like you would with a camera for occluding objects. Instead, it would be occluding blocks from being able to be destroyed. And because we're stepping out the way, we can then do this occlusion as well, and that should work nicely. Well, that's the plan. And it should be fast. It should be really fast. The main slow, as I said, you may have seen it in the video, there was some slowdown towards the end when we had tons of asteroids and lots of explosions going off. That was nothing to do with the explosions. That was only to do with the particle effects. So once that's all optimized, and as long as the explosion calculation is fast, because we can make it a lot slower and it'll still be fast. And I should point out that that's all happening in frame. Normally stuff in PlanetSmith like block up states happen like on their own tick system, whereas the explosions for now I've written them in frame just because it was quicker. But if time for processing becomes a problem, I can easily stick that into another job, and that means we'll have 1/20th of a second to process that explosion rather than, like 1/100th of a second if you're going at 100 frames a second. Okay, but yeah, thought good to talk about that a bit more. Next one, barrels immune to explosions by Dusk. This is a bit more of a memey one. With the almighty power of the barrel, explosions should do nothing more than lightly tapping a person. The barrel should fall to the ground at the bottom of the crater with all items inside completely intact. No, it will destroy barrels. And then there's a comment under here which I quite like. Barrels should be instead used to make explosions with gunpowder. Well, I think that's a lot more likely. That is currently planned. That part will probably happen. It's kind of fun and it fits. Right. Next one. Oh, not that one. Barrel planets. by Super Sniper 7766. Very rare planets that are literally a big barrel floating in space. Maybe there could be a barrel, animals that you could tame, and or boss barrels. You could also maybe go into the barrel and get a special heavy, healthy liquid of some sort. I think this fits more into modders. It's probably a bit too kooky for the game. Yeah, I think if you were playing this game and you hadn't been on our Discord, you'd be like, why is there a massive barrel in space? But I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, next one. Nanoplanet height limit. Clarification, I do not write English. Okay, that's just saying that English isn't their first language, so we'll read this with in the minds that Google's translated this. I love the idea of being able to grow and develop on an absurdly small planet, kind of like Kaio Sam's planet. But planets have a minimum diameter of 1,000 hexagons, as Yoshi said in a video. This is due to the height limit of 512 blocks, also said in another video, which doesn't allow less diameter to avoid serious deformation of the blocks at lower limit and at the upper limit. My idea would have the option to spawn on a nanoplanet. Nanoplanets would have a reduced height limit, which could be 256, 128, or even 64 blocks. This would allow for the diameter of the planet to be much smaller. I honestly don't mind the planet being only 32 blocks tall, up and down. The height isn't enough for me to build, and the planet could be incredibly small. These kind of planets could be a challenge to progress with very few resources and space, and also for someone who likes to play quietly and build their house and decorate the little planets and make it look like a beautiful garden. If you're not going to make a tall building, that's not a problem. It would be something like a skyblock. I have to say, I do love skyblock as a game type. So I think this can actually go into planned. Now, the way this will work is I don't want this option to be like easily accessible, because it's just going to give me a headache of people going, oh, there's this glitch, oh, there's this happening. And it's like, yes, I know the game's not designed to have this smaller planet. You chose the settings. So the way it'll work is I plan to put a console or some sort of console command like box which you can do with your planet generation. So instead of like going through the normal settings, it'll be basically a command that you can execute to build your planet. And in that you can put any setting you want. It will not restrict you. It will let you type in stuff that will break the game. So you could put in a radius of 1 for your planet and it would try. I'm not sure. That would be a 12. I think if you did that, it would give you, I think the minimum planet it can give you is 16 blocks, so one chunk in radius. And that would be kind of crazy. Oh, someone's saying here, make it a secret seed like in Terraria. No, because I'd still want you to be able to put full seeds in. So it'd be more like if a console command, which you'd go like it'd be numbers that you're putting in. So you'd put in the radius of the planet, and then you'd put in the build height restrictions, and you'd put the seed in, and then it would just build it for you. But yeah, it'd be slightly hidden. Well, not hidden, but you'd be under the illusion that you're trying to break the game. So you're not like, oh, I'm not surprised that I built this and now I get this really weird thing. Yeah. But I do want to make that kind of stuff possible. Technically, it's already possible by editing the world file. You can actually edit the world file, set the seed to whatever size you want, and then reload that world, and it'll generate that way. As long as you delete all generated chunks, and you just change the file, like the data file for the planet, you can already set that to whatever you want. You can make it 1,000,000 blocks of cloth. Bad things will happen, but it'll let you do it. Okay, next. Ambidextrous Hotbar by I can't say this one. Irithind? Random idea for making the hotbar split for 2 hands. Thought it would look great. I have some original mechanics that would be a good compromise, because people have different ideas on how the hotbar should look. Okay, I have a plan. Right. See if we can I do this live? Can I do this live? Let's see. Oh, I'd have to load that. Oh, well, we've kind of we've kind of it's on the Discord somewhere, but I'll probably make a post about it soon. The hotbar has been redesigned, and so is the inventory. And the hotbar, I'm forgetting who originally, somebody posted the idea for the hotbar, and I really liked it. I know it's slightly controversial because it's got overlapping hexagons a little bit, but I quite like it. And we're gonna go with that for now, and we'll see how that plays. But yeah, that's actually coded into the game now, and you should be able to see it soon. But yeah, like this idea with the two, it's cool. It could definitely be done by modders, but it's not going to be the vanilla mode. Here's another hotbar design by Robop, semi-hidden hotbar design. With this design, the hotbar, except the active slot, would be semi-hidden. Tell me your thoughts. The blue line is the bottom of the screen. I think this is kind of a cool idea as well, where they come up. Yeah, we might try this. I'm not sure. I kind of like it static. I think you could even go with it where they're just all get the bottom chopped off and that's still fine. Not sure. Not sure. But yeah, it's a good idea. I'll put it in. We'll put it in. We'll put it in modders for now because it's not the plan that I'm currently going with. But hey, stuff's still open for change, so it might change in the future. Next one is by Paul Evs. Hexcell lighting enhancements. This suggestion is about lighting, which was partially mentioned in one video. The suggestion is to combine a voxel-based light similar to Minecraft. Simple light spreading algorithm on voxel grid with interpolation on voxel faces as a fast global illumination approximation with a normal unity lights with shadows on large distances that can switch to only voxel-based light with completely disabled unity lights. Advancements of this approach are almost infinite. Advancements of this approach are almost infinitely amount of light sources, so even lava oceans will be possible. Okay, better light quality since Unity doesn't have GI approximations. I think it does actually, and since half of light, but it's you can do GI approximations as a render feature. And since half of light is based on voxels global illumination, it is possible to use lights with shadows and or area lights since it will require only lights that are really close to the player to have them. So enhance light quality in general. Yeah, it's kind of a lot to digest here. We have some examples with the pictures. So my plan for lights is, I think this is the current plan, is at the minute every light is a real light source, and that's definitely problematic. It will run because of the type of lighting I'm using, but you will get lights switching off when you're too far away, and that's undesirable. So I think my current plan is we're going to keep the directional light. That's going to be a real-time light. It'll give you those great shadows, give you nice sunsets and all the shadows moving, which I really like. But then for the little lights, I think we might go to like the Minecraft approach of having block light levels. I've got plans to tweak it so it's slightly different, but we'll see how that goes. And yeah, and it'll kind of like add on top of the light level that's coming from the sun. It's going to be interesting, like how it works with shadow maps. That's what I haven't tested this yet. But that's my current plan. And then the other option, of course, is to hybrid it, like Paul Evs is suggesting, and say that light sources only work with if you're within like 100 block radius, and outside of that, it then switches to the other lighting method. That could work too, but we just gonna have to experiment with lighting and see which one works best. So we'll put this in, yeah, future plans. I'm probably not playing with lighting for a while. I don't think we need to yet. It's not important for gameplay, and I'm trying to focus more on gameplay stuff at the minute. Next one, Railway System Concept by Anium58. This concept is about how I think this concept is about how I think something like railway system could look like, even if it would be eventually implemented. On the image below is every shape of the rail, not every block state. For now, this is what I got. I didn't think through it that much. I think something like powered rails, detector rails, etc. I will post next ideas here. Minecart and other types of rails if needed. Hope this concept with figuring out the industrial side of the game. So I haven't decided. I think if we do have rail, it won't be the hex version of Minecraft Rails. I might. I had a thought. I think it could be fun to have some sort of rail system that doesn't let you go up or down hills very much. Maybe at all, because then it kind of makes it a really cool building challenge as well if you're wanting to put rail in. Now there may be specific things that let you go up or down, like some sort of but it's like a chore to go up and down. You can't just quickly go up and down a block like you can in Minecraft. That does prevent stuff like the roller coasters, which I know some people really like, but it does it does bring around, kind of like an engineering challenge at the same time, which I actually really like. You'll have to tunnel through stuff. You'll have to, build bridges, that kind of thing. That is not a fully baked idea by me yet, though. So railways, maybe, probably. I'd say it's probably more in the probably, but I don't want to fully commit to them. We will definitely have some form of rail equivalent transport, which can be used for items, people, something like that. But how that looks and how that functions, not sure yet. Yeah, someone's seeing grade restrictions. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is like you can't just go up a 45, because with Minecraft Rails you can basically go up a 45-degree slope, and it is much more of a roller coaster type thing. Right, next one, by Dusk. Easter egg planets. This can be an archive where all the Easter egg planets are kept. Feel free to suggest ideas in here rather than leaving them scattered around throughout suggestions. So far, we have the Barrel Planet and Earth. Easter egg planets. Yeah, this kind of falls into modding. It's somewhere between modding and the game because we'll probably have Easter egg planets that are included in the game. But then there'll also be weird planets that people make and with their own generation. Hmm. I think the most likely way to access Easter egg planets will be a specific seed that is then reserved for that to happen. Maybe a phrase, like all praise the barrel gives you a barrel planet if we include something like that. So I think that's the way it'll work. We'll put that one in maybe as well. I'm not quite sure how we'll do Easter eggs, but I'm sure we'll have them. But of course, they're not a current priority. Roller coaster style rails by Ray Cloiso. Along with the rail system, I like of how the rails go about hexagons. They can also scale vertically, like that of a roller coaster, which includes a 1-1 ramp, a 2-1 ramp, a 4-1 ramp, and a straight and vertical ramp. Of course, gradual angle changes help the train move. Change could be added to help pull trains up a slope when it doesn't have enough momentum power to do it itself. Maybe it could also go upside down, but that's up to me. Yeah, so this is like if we added like basically a track builder to Planetsmith. If we're now playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, and you're building your tracks. I suppose a lot more like the original Roller Coaster Tycoon than the modern ones, because because you're tied to this grid system. Hmm. But I think that fits more on modders, is where I'm currently leaning towards that kind of stuff. I don't think it fits quite with the game. But yeah, it would be a cool thing for modders to add. Or or maybe it's like a distant future thing. When we have a reason for adding them? Not sure. Tech Tools and Blocks by Ray Chloe So. These are some block types for interacting with tech, which will probably incorporate wires, maybe pipes as well. Some are for inputs, some are for outputs. This is all will be having the wiring functional different than Redstone, where the wires can transfer data over a long range of different variables, maybe up to 255 or something, whatever limit you need. Typical inputs. There will be the usual inputs of buttons, levers, and some sort of weight sensor like pressure plates. There could be analog variants like a button that can detect how long you press it, or a lever with multiple settings, but they would be perfectly fine on your own. New input ideas. Oh, this is big. But we've got time. Uh, hold on. I've gone too far. Have I? Oh. What's less likely, but I'd like to suggest some sort of other inputs like these. Dial/stat. A rotating dial of either 6, 8, 12 directions on it, maybe 16 directions, but I think that's a bit much. I don't know. It sends the input out into the wire. There could be variants with different models based on the material, like a crank or the like. Multi-state lever with a lever with 4 or 8 states. A slider with 4 or 8 states that you can move up and down. Will be different. Key lock. You put a key in when unlocking it outputs a signal which can affect doors, barrels, and wiring. Console board. A board which can have multiple inputs connected to it and multiple outputs, which would be hectic to work with, and I don't know if this would work your efficient kit. Cable connectors. Conversion cable. A small switch in the middle which you can change to either add or subtract the signals going into it. Perhaps this also multiply or divide, but that might be more complicated. Timers. A switch to delay a signal, which you can either have the timer or by inputting it through cables on the side, that way to change over time. Switch, a sort of block which can switch the path of output goes based on the input state. That is going to go into modders as well. That is I think too complex for what other. Oh, it goes on. Okay, I won't read the other ones, but I will talk about. Yeah, I think we might have. Well, we'll almost certainly have some sort of cabling system. Relatively confident that we'll do at some point something like that. How it works will probably be different to Redstone for sure, but it won't be much more complex. It'll still be quite bare bones. And now you can make more complexity by designing stuff, sure, but I don't want that to be like there's a whole bunch of so it's like very technical. No, I don't think that fits with the current vision for the vanilla version of the game. Of course, modders can add all this kind of stuff in. And that would be absolutely fine. But yeah, levers will be like 2 states on and off. You'll have levers, buttons, bits and bobs. Oh, yeah, I'm not even sure how we're gonna like. I haven't got a full idea of how stuff like repeaters work in Minecraft, for instance. Because that lets you add a time delay in. Is that something we want? How does that work? Not sure. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Meteor Attractor by Reds. I had an idea for a structure that could be crafted or found that is a giant magnet that, when activated, attracts any meteor to it and destroys them. Could be useful on planets where meteors are common. Kind of a cool idea. I'll put that one in maybe, because I'm not sure. We're not sure how meteors are going to work completely, but the idea of upkeeping or maintaining a structure to protect you or slash attract them or kind of thing is kind of that would definitely work. Combining 2-player worlds by making them separate planets. Combining 2 players by pizza.ra. Pretty self-explanatory. If you and a friend have separate worlds, you could request to link your worlds and you could meet up on one of your planets. This would have to be separate from regular multiplayer, where you would all spawn on one planet. Now, I think that so the way that planet and world saves will work, I think this will be possible and easily possible. And we're not talking like day one possible, so we'll put this in future. But yeah, that kind of thing will be popular. So then you can like add more planets to your star. Yeah. you will be effectively cheating them in, but um, but that would work. Definitely cool for stuff to do, especially for people who are not wanting to just um, yeah, it's no different to like resetting your nether in Minecraft or something like that, you know, because you want this nicer nether or whatever. That kind of idea. Uh, Solar System Far Away in Game by Mies Cool But Mo. What if you spawned in a randomly generated system, but it is in the same universe as ours, so you can actually find the solar system in game by traveling via spaceship? So you mean you can find the Earth solar system? Like you spawn in whatever star system you're in, and then if you travel, you can find the solar system and Earth. Okay, that'd be really cool. That would be cool. Don't think it's possible with procedural gen, because then that would have to. I mean, you could stick it somewhere. Then how would you find it? I think this is unlikely. Um, Now we might add in an Earth Easter egg or something. Distant future, like distant. This is post multiplayer, so this is like distant future plans. Would be to have some sort of um, global universe that you can explore, where you kind of play through the game in your solar system, but then after you've kind of completed that, you can then travel between stars, and then instead of it just being like predictable generation, like in your solar system, you're going to get the same type of planets every time. All planets will be random, but you're guaranteed. You get your solar system say guaranteed to have 7 planets, and there's planet A, B, C, D, E, and F, and you always get those types. But then if we went further than that, I then think you go to the type where you go to a random solar system and the planets are a lot more random. You know, they're not designed as much. But I'd like to stress this. That is way future plans. That's like this game's super popular. Tons of people are playing it, and we have the resources to be able to pull that kind of thing off. Yeah, but yeah, that is a. But then yeah, and then with the Earth thing in particular, that is a kind of like going back to the Easter eggs. We might add an Easter egg for Earth in, which generates an Earth-like planet or our Earth-like solar system. That could be fun. But yeah, again, that would be more of an Easter egg. Right, next, access to the center of the planet by O May. This will definitely go in the modders category. Okay. Because it's been definitely denied in a comment on a YouTube video, would require a lot of effort into the modding API, which would be great to see. Yeah, you could do a kind. This has been discussed a few times. You could like down the layers and then go into the center that way, and like you'd have to have transitions where the grid changes as you go down. Is it a modders thing, or is it unlikely, or is it a baby? Oh, let's just chuck it in modders for now. Will it be possible? I think so, because I think what you could do if you're modding it is put 2 planets on top of each other with the radius of the other one like inside. In theory, that could work if we let that work. Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Not sure. Maybe it becomes part of the game. Who knows? There could be there could be planets where we intentionally do that. I just think it's really weird with the grid change for it to be in like the vanilla version of the chain, because you'd be digging down and then suddenly the blocks below your feet there's like it you're now looking at like 3 blocks instead of 1 block. It'd be weird. Or you'd be looking at you dig through one and then the block would get suddenly like 3 times bigger or something. Yeah. Okay. Um, Realistic foliage covers by Mies Cool But Mo. Foliage color based on the uh, spectral type of whoa! This is crazy. Uh, Based on the spectral type of the home star. The two images are references for the color of plants and the color of stars. That's like I'd not even thought of this. That's actually a really cool idea. So I presume the idea is here that plants try and maximize their harvesting of the sun's light rays. So if your sun's outputting rays at a different wavelength, then it makes sense for them to change the color to absorb more of that wavelength. I suppose the color you see of a plant is the color that it's not absorbing. So leaves are green because they're not strong absorbers of green light. They're strong absorbers of like reds and blues. I'm presuming this. And then so if your plants were say red, it means they're not strong absorbers of red light. They're strong absorbers of the greens and the blues. That could be interesting. Now, this, as we were just talking about this, the before, because your starting world is predetermined, or the type of world and the type of solar system you're in to start with is predetermined. It doesn't make sense for that first loop of the game, but it does make sense if we're then going into the more you can travel between stars. So I think if we're traveling between stars, makes 100% sense. Doesn't make sense for our starting place though, because that's all predetermined. But I'll put it in the future because that would be really cool if we're doing stuff between stars. Okay. Next one. By RV, Dune Sandworm, a planet with giant sandworms that are attracted by rhythm like people walking that displace a lot of sand, just like the Dune Sandworm, probably in a planet with a lot of desert as water is poisonous. I mean, we might have some creature. We can't obviously just take the Dune Sandworm and go, "Hey, that's ours now." No one's gonna sue us for that. Um, but we could have some definitely, you know, we'll put this in the maybe because there could be a desert-like planet which has some sort of thing that comes out the sand to grab you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sandworm, but it could be attracted to sound. Yeah. There's lots of, or it could be something that's in caving. There could be like cave worms. I don't know. There's there's lots of things we can do there. Next one. Metal alloy tools plus ore bonus effects by Dilithium. Some ores can have a bonus effect like a 2% chance to get one more ore piece when mining, or a 5% faster mining speed. These bonuses effects could be combined by crafting a tool like with a pickaxe, iron, carbon, and steel, and get bonus effects each of those ore types, but dialed down based on how much of the ore is in the tool. Maybe there could be an oxidation state that is hidden unless you turn on debug stats. Pickaxe health lower slowly when in rain or water for, pardon me, a really long time. The heat resistant stat could decrease the durability of tools when mining hot items like magma block or just blocks you get closer to the core. The flexibility of the stat will determine how much damage is done to your pickaxe based on how hard the ore you're mining. The bonus loot chance stat is self-explanatory for the most part. You would get an increased amount of ore when mining a ore hexel percent of percent of the time. Here are some examples. Steel, iron plus carbon plus 10% purity minus 5% mining speed plus 10% heat resistance. Duralium. Yes, this is a real ally, and so are the rest. Aluminium, copper. Yeah, and then we're getting the stacks. Electrum, yeah. Monol, Silvium, yeah. Anyway, Ken said this would be in the game, in a live stream. When I asked questions, it wasn't specific on how it would work. So this is just my interpretation of how I think it would work. This could, of course, be simplified and all, just trying to give lots of thoughts on how this system could be used. Um, yeah, I think this idea fits perfectly with what I'm planning. Um, how you're going to add those is going to be the fun part. We'll see. Hopefully this year, because what month are we on? We've got 4 months to the end of the year. Is that right? Oh, years go by fast, don't they? Um, so maybe next year we'll start to see some of the survival crafting mechanics come in. And of course, we're not going to have this richer crafting to start with. It's going to be much more basic. But I have a really cool ideas of how we can adding extra like materials to your tools and how that makes them better and give stats like this. You know, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. I'm wanting to the game of making the best pickaxe or the best sword or whatever you're wanting to build the best of to be quite fun, and it not to be easily not to be solvable. So by not to be solvable, I mean there isn't a definitive best, because it's like the best for this situation or it's the best for this situation. So you're not just like, oh, I've now got the diamond pickaxe. I've got, in Minecraft efficiency, was it efficiency 5 is the best? I can't remember. And like durability 3, and hey, I've now got the best pick. It won't be like that, for sure. There'll be trade-offs. Yeah, and I hope in the way and the way you'll craft it will be fun. Slightly tedious to do the first time, in the sense that it takes time. You can't just go put 3 things in a crafting bench, chuck a book on it, you're done. It's going to be much more, a bit of skill to it. And once you've done it once, I'll make it so it's I'm not sure. It might not be that easily repeatable as well. So it's kind of like a skill thing. If you want a second great pickaxe, you're going to have to spend the time to do it again. And that means that if you lose your great pickaxe, it's actually painful, because, you'll respawn, but say your pickaxe is now, I don't know, fallen into the void, it's gone somewhere where you can't get it back. You'll be sad about that. But what I really don't want to happen is your pickaxe, as long as you can hold on to it, it'll always be repairable back to its premium state forever. There's no like, oh, it gets harder to repair over time, that kind of thing. It'll never truly wear out as long as you take care of it. Because I think that's cool. And then you can have like this gear, and you could have your collection of your tools basically. And it's kind of like a thing you can show off as well. You'd be like, hey, I've got this cool pick and it does this, this, and this. Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely add a ton of depth to the game there. Intricate Armor Smithing by Roll. This is probably going down the same lines. I haven't read it yet. There could be a smithing table block that allows customization and strategic upgrades for armor. Yes, yes. Wait. We can just put that into planned already. Okay, let's read on. This block would have a hexagonal slot to put the armor piece in, and around 4 of the slots to place upgrades. It won't be like that. Attachments and cosmetic items. Oh, I do love the idea of slots, though. I am a sucker for slots on armor. An air compressor piston, for example, could be applied to the pair of leggings to allow for double jumping. That reminds me, there's a mod on Minecraft that does that. I don't know what it's called, where you have these suits, and that's definitely a thing you can do, because you can upgrade your legs and that kind of thing. Or a golden feather dropped by a rare chicken may be put onto boots to negate fall damage. These attachments should have 2 slots reserved from the maximum total of 4. I mean, this is kind of... I mean, we could go through a slot. I wasn't planning a slot-based, like, upgrade system for armor and stuff. I think I'm going to achieve the kind of slot idea, but it's going to be done through this other crafting method that I'm talking about. A heavy iron plating would make the armor tougher at the cost of reduced movement speed. A golden plating may reduce... Well, I don't think gold's going to reduce the weight, and make sure that armor a sustainable choice for parts with strong UV radiation. Like, gold can do stuff like, yeah. I don't know, but we'll definitely just decide effects with different metals, and there'll be reasons. A magma plating could increase fire resistance. Yeah, exactly. Such plates could only have a single slot on each armor piece. The last slot can be used for cosmetic upgrades, similar to how armor trims work in Minecraft. And of course, certain special armors like spacesuits would have less slots available, and there may even be multiple workbenches for each slot, attachments, platings, and cosmetics. What do you think? Yeah, I think somewhere along this lines, maybe slightly differently, maybe not slots. kind of want to make it more of a crafting thing, and once you've crafted it, it's done. You're not then attaching stuff to it, but it's not a bad idea. So maybe something. I'm not sure, but yeah, something along these lines is definitely planned. Next one. Light Out and Door Puzzle for a Dungeon by Ray Cloyso. Light Out puzzles are a common puzzle to throw in as a mini game at times, and perhaps could implement it into a dungeon in which there's a switch in each room which is connected with a series of cables and can flip a series of lights on and off, and there would be a light out puzzle. Yeah. Okay, I know what a light out puzzle is, so I'm not going to read that. Let's just talk about it. I haven't decided all the features that are going into dungeons yet. We'll put it in maybe, because it's not a definite no. Is it fun? Does it work with the game? Does it tie in? Not sure, and we won't be sure until more of it's made. Puzzle element to dungeons, possibly. Is that, you know, I'm a sucker for Zelda games. I love Zelda, especially the classic like Zelda dungeons. Which, I mean, puzzle is maybe a light way to put them. It's more like get the thing to the place, you know, like this is talking about with the light switches. But yeah, something like that could be fun, and like encouraging you to explore dungeons more rather than just go straight for the boss or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure we'll put some sort of challenges in. Next one by Dusk. Custom vehicle idea. Ken, when you read this, make sure to read the very last sentence. Okay. Even if I skip everything else. Okay, let's read it all. Let's say you build a rocket and there is only one block connecting it to the ground. My idea is that the rocket engine block senses what blocks are connected to it, and as soon as the entire shape is connected to air, it falls down and becomes its own object. Something like in Bad Minecraft, where breaking the base of a tree causes the rest to fall and experience physics. The physics would be similar to TOTK. What's that? To what's that? Quick ideas in chat. I don't know what TOTK is. Where did I go? Oh, sorry. Where have I gone? Ideas to take effect of a rocket blast is the physics will be similar to TOTK, where too much force can cause some voxels to break off. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom, of course. My, I'm slow. The physics will be similar. Sorry, my idea is that this will only be in effect if the rocket block is present, and building a plain old rocket shape building won't do anything. If this ends up being too bad on performance, then there could always be something like a 255 block limit, or if you have to go into the rocket and open up the UI and say, I'm ready to make this a rocket, or something, instead of having it constantly make checks every tick. This could also be used to make a car, boat, or plane. TLDR, the core rocket vehicle can turn a build into its own body, causing the rocket vehicle to experience physics. And to Ken, either I guessed the idea perfectly, or you skipped to here where I think that it doesn't fit into the game very well, or I'm just confused. So the first rocket, I think the first rocket that you'll make in the game will be it'll be parts you put together and it makes that rocket, and it won't be customizable. But future, I am planning to have customizable vehicles that you build, and it'll be more of its own block building system. I think what will happen here is you'll have to build them in specific locations. I think probably like with a machine or something. Uh, it's too much up in the air. Maybe it is this way. Maybe you have to build them like in a spaceship building. I'm not going to say factory, but something like that. And it gives you like a different grid to build off. And the reason I'm saying is a different grid is it doesn't make sense that your rocket would be on this spherical coordinate grid, because once you fly into space, that becomes really awkward. You kind of want it to be on its own grid, independent of the world, which is much more a regular grid. So it'd be what do you call it? Not just a. I'm sure it's got a name. An ortho. Is it orthographic grid? Something like that. An ortho grid anyway, rather than a spherical iso grid. I suppose is kind of what we're doing. Yeah. Okay, we'll put that in maybe. Next one. NPCs have jobs and have a compact on or impact on the city they live in by Mason Blue 62. So when you meet aliens, some of them could be like us. So the idea is that they will have a job, and depending on how much that job determines demand is, the important they are. So if you take them or kill them, the city will get a little bit out of a big one. Maybe if you kill too many aliens, there could be an alien FBI coming after you and capturing you. That was a joke. It's probably not going to be that deep. Maybe there's a mod that could do this. We'll put it in unlikely for now. I suppose it could work. Maybe. I'll put it. We'll upgrade it to maybe. I'm not sure how our NPCs are going to work and what your interactions are going to be with them. Like, can you kidnap them like you can in Minecraft? I'm not sure. Can you kill them? Probably. Will they fight back? Almost certainly, if you can kill them. How does it all work? Not sure. Not sure. It's very much up in the air still. By Robot. Teleportation should be interstellar only / interstellar TP idea. I feel like the interplanetary TPs would ruin the game. Having in mind that ships will act like in Outer Wilds, they would be super overpowered and fast. But if the game adds more stellar systems, I feel like the way of traveling should be something similar to Astroneer, where you have to visit every planet to activate a portal, collecting shards or glyphs. It would be cool if some shard glyphs be given a boss fight. Tell me your thoughts on this. Also, the first part is my opinion. Let me know if you disagree and what solution you suggest. So, I think we will probably have interplanetary teleportation, but you won't be able to construct it. You'll have to find points where you can TP between. Kind of like, again, Outer Wilds, where there were certain points which would let you teleport. I think that kind of thing will almost certainly happen. What won't happen is I build a teleporter exactly where I want it and exactly where I want it somewhere else, or I can just place one and instantly teleport back home. That won't happen. And you will be flying around the solar system most of the time. But I think there are cool reasons and things that fit with the story that I have planned that means there will be some form of teleportation. Yeah. For example, a great use of teleportation is, say there is a secret base inside a planet. Now, in theory, you could find it, but it'd be super hard because you'd have no way to search for it. But what you could find, and is a lot easier to find, would be this teleportation pad on another planet or something, and then that teleports you inside the base kind of thing. So it was always there, but that kind of idea where it's like linking two places together, that could be cool. So what was robots having? We'll put this in the unlikely because we are going to have almost certainly have planetary TP to you. What's the other part that I know? But yeah, so if we do get to the interstellar point of the game, I see it more of like you have something like Mass Effect with its what do they call it? Zero mass drive, you know, where you go up to the big space station and it flings you off. That kind of idea, more thing, or some sort of space portal thing. You know, the idea is a wormhole. I don't know, some fantasy sci-fi thing that's probably impossible, but it's a MacGuffin that makes it work for the game. Because of course you're not going to fly real time between stars. That would be super boring. Okay, next one. Title cards entering cities/dungeons. Having a title appear on screen, maybe in the corner to avoid obscuring the screen when you enter a town, city, castle, dungeon, or certain structures could be neat. Now, I'm not entirely sure how you'd determine the boundary. Perhaps it's based on where they spawn in chunks plus a short radius, so it doesn't say you entered a town when you're underground. But yes, it could be next to you to give you some grounding in the world. Like, hey, I know this one. It's Breath of the Wild, BOTW. Dear. Okay. Hmm. I kind of like that idea, but what if the player could place them? So it's like our signs. There'll be a type of sign you can do that effectively does this. That'd be kind of nice. I mean, yeah, maybe some towns have it too. Um, yeah, I can see that happening. We'll put that in future plans. Okay, next one. Next one. Core Ideas of a Core by Timmy GC. Oh, we're nearing the end. So this is the discussion of satellites. Gave me an idea. What if larger planets had an inner sphere of the same manner? This would be a lot harder to seamlessly transition. We kind of talked about this just before, as going to space allows for many opportunities to make different planets mechanically, but doing it to the core would make some immersive portals or level of shenanigans. I thought if you had specific holes in bedrocks, you could have some wiggle room. That's true. There, as you don't have to worry about players mining out the entire world above. This means you only need to link the worlds mechanically by a gateway in the occasional bedrock cave, not allowing connections anywhere. With this idea, you'd have a smaller sphere underneath that is a whole new world, like from the journey of the center of the earth. Mushrooms would take the place of trees, and prehistoric creatures would make an entirely new ecosystem. A day-night cycle could, in lore, be provided by storms, floating plasma balls during after a storm would act like miniature moons, lighting up the day. The storm would be like morning fog, and lichen and luminescent critters would provide starlight at night. This would obviously only work on large planet. Also, linking it to another person's idea, maybe albino creatures occasionally wander out like piglings in Minecraft portals. So where most players would think that abominalism is a rare event, in reality it means there is an entrance to a subterranean world nearby. I think it's a cool idea. I think it fits more with modders though. Yep. Next one, Slightly Modified Explosions by Jan Kaji. Small and simple change. In real life, the energy delivered to a point in space by an explosion is inversely proportional to the distance to the center of the explosion squared. In PlanetSmith, all blocks in a certain radius could be checked, and the probability of them breaking is determined by a similar inverse square relationship and the block's explosion resistance. The specifics of this could turn out so that the probability of a block breaking within a distance could resemble a sine mod curve, meaning there's still an apparent explosion radius, but the probability of blocks breaking is never fully 100% or 0% within the volume checked. This would also solve the problem of how to add explosion resistance while keeping performance costs relatively low, and the only major downside is it doesn't allow for explosion shielding. An option for shielding is ray marching to the epicenter of the explosion and adding up all the explosion resistance of the blocks in between, but this might be quite performance heavy. Yeah, so we kind of talked about this one a bit earlier. This is going to happen a different way, but we will have explosion resistance. Okay, we've got two more. Different kinds of moons by Raptor. I'm no astrophysicist, but as far as I'm aware, not all moons are the same. I think it would be cool to see a number of different varieties of moons in orbit of planets, from huge planet-sized moons to like Titan to small rocks like Phoebe. Is it Phoebe? Is that how you say it? And I'm terrible with these words. And Deimos. I think that's how you say them. Or is it Phobos? It's Phobos, isn't it? Future. Yes, we were going to have moons. Like I'll say again, there'll be fixed moons in your starting solar system, as in, say you have a Saturn-like planet and it has 4 moons, or whatever, or Jupiter, I suppose, with 4 moons is a good example, which has 4 moons. Every world would, every starting world would have that. But if we get to the later, like interstellar part, then we can do much more crazy things. I mean, I'm not saying we won't have crazy moons in the like determined solar system, but they'll always be those ones, if that makes sense. What we could actually do, I haven't fully thought this through, is there might be a slight part of randomness to like what I'm going to call like extra worlds in your solar system. So say we have the 7 key worlds, or which are our moons or planets, to progress through the story of the game, or to, you know, through the progress cycle effectively. We could have like extra ones that aren't required, but give like different resources and stuff, but aren't required. And you could find their resources elsewhere, if that makes sense. And then you could do stuff like that, and then they'd be determined on seed. That might happen. Okay, next one, last one by Mysterious Man. Animal skin variety and gender. There are 2 things that always bugged me about Minecraft animals. The fact that they all look the same and that breeding is unrealistic, specifically chickens. The way how chickens breed in IRL is there's a rooster with like 19 hens. The rooster has 2 roles: protect hens from dangers, protect hens from danger, and fertilize them so the hens can lay eggs. Without it, the hens are incapable to lay eggs. When the hens lay eggs, unless the eggs are removed, they will eventually hatch if the hen continues to keep it warm and take care of them. Hens that hatch chickens are really proactive, and their youngs can then become aggressive over time if disturbed. Now in game, using chickens as a food/material source can be quite beneficial since they grow up faster compared to other animals and can provide 2 sources to the player: eggs and meat. And breeding them would be easy since all it takes is 1 or 2 roosters to keep the population and egg production going. Okay. It's gonna go maybe, because I do want to make the animal husbandry side of the game definitely more in depth than Minecraft. How in depth? Still to be determined. Will you be breeding traits in animals? Probably to some extent. I like the idea that you'd say have the wild cow, except, you know, and when you kill it, you get 1 beef or something like that, you know, or it's a type of beef, or it has a. But if you spend time like breeding ones and working out which ones are the best, you'd have traits, so you'd get more meat, or the cows would become less aggressive, or, you know, that kind of things. You'd have like an aggressive trait, and then you'd have a cosmetic trait to them as well, which would be kind of cool, or like milk production or whatever, and then you could optimize for these things. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a requirement for the game. Like, you could ignore this completely. It's not like, oh, I need to get my tier 5 cows so I can go fight this boss. No, it's more of like a fun thing that you can do and adds more depth to the game. Yeah, that's something I kind of want to do with all the food side. So that's animals and for the food as well, like grown food, like vegetables and whatever, corn or whatever else you're growing. Now, the bit that he talks about here is like having to have a male rooster and the female hens. I think that's less likely. I think that's just one step too far on complexity. Because then it's like, oh, you got to find a bull, like, and then you got to have the cows, and then you've got to like select, and then we have to deal with all the. No, I think. I mean, it's not for certain, but I think all animals will probably be genderless, effectively, or both genders is kind of how you could think of them if we're thinking of them that way. Yeah, that probably makes the most sense. But I still want to have traits that you'd breed through that would make sense. Yeah, and maybe a bit of genetics, kind of like pseudogenetics to like coloring and that kind of stuff. Kind of like what Minecraft does with horses, I suppose. Okay, so that is the last one. I've still got quite a bit of time, so if we want to ask some questions, now's your chance, and we'll go through them. And I'll tell you what, while we wait for some questions to come in, I'll see if I can. We'll have a little sneak preview of the inventory as well. I'll get that loaded up. Let me just sort my monitors out. Someone says, "Wait, I'm posting one." Well, I'll do that one in the next one. We'll have another one of these in. It'll be the first Monday of next month. We'll do that next month. But any questions just now, I'll happy to answer. I say what we'll go through today. We'll go through which ones I thought were the best because I didn't do that last time. So hold on. I really like the. Let me just find it. This one by Dilithium, where talking about all the different effects of metal, and how we can do that. That's definitely something that we're going to do. Love that idea. That's definitely happening. So you can become a barrel philosopher. I'll let Yoshi sort that out at the end. What other ones did I really like? I actually like that one. She's already a barrel philosopher. Oh, Pizza.ra, that one was really good as well. Combining two planets. Where's that one gone? Let me find it. Here we go. It's hard to find stuff at the end. Here we go. Here, by Pizza.ra. Combining two players' worlds by making them separate planets. Yes, that's something we'll definitely add in the future. I also liked. Oh yes. The realistic foliage covers by Me Is Cool But Mo. That one, that was really cool. Yeah, and the armor smithing were really cool as well. So we'll make those our new barrel philosophers. Yeah, the Emperor armor smithing by Radl. Okay, let's go. Wait, I've lost chat. See if anyone's saying stuff. Okay. To clarify, so this is by Ray Cloyceau, I think, judging by the a picture. To clarify some stuff, the light out puzzle was talking about the puzzle affecting each room, but I did change that. So interpretation was the one I was pitching. Okay. just an idea for a suggestion. I'll write it. Oh, so yeah, right. Yeah, I'll say if you've got cool suggestions and ideas. If it's a suggestion now, I probably won't answer them straight away now, but post them on our Discord and in the suggestions, and we'll have a look at them next time. So, Sir Nino, yeah, sorry, Ninonio. I think that's what we're saying it, Sir Ninonio. Now, what are now that we are into questions, then how much attention do you plan on giving the ocean? Life, terrain, material distribution, caves, perhaps? Yes, lots. I definitely want. So already inside the, I've like there's actually I think 5 different types of ocean currently. Now those are like these are on top of the biome type. So there are 5 different sorry the climate type for the ocean. So we're gonna have your deep oceans, medium oceans, shallow oceans. You're gonna have your reefs and your archipelagos, and then depending on what the climate's like in those areas, so basically the water temperature will determine the type of life that we then put in there. And definitely want to do stuff. There'll definitely be one dungeon at least that you'll have to go swimming to get to. There'll be lots to do in the sea for sure. It's not going to be barren. Gavin Rector asks, unrelated to my Discord post, but any ideas for fantasy-like features like off-brand The Force or something? Not sure. Um, Magic, unlikely. No, I'm not going to say definitely not, but we might have something that's a bit sci-fi for sure. Yeah, if it makes sense. Not 100% sure yet though. Sir Nino. Oh, I'm gonna have to say it again. Sir Ninon Neo. Also, do you have any solid ideas on how you'll be implementing caves? Yes, I do. The world gen needs upgrading for that to happen because you can kind of think of the world gen at the minute as flat. I know it's on a sphere. It's actually using 3D. It's looking at the world as a flat surface on a sphere, and then we're doing 3D noise to generate that out. But what I want to do is, a different technique, which will mean that we will get caves, and that's on my to do soon list because that's required for our survival part of the game. And then once that all goes in, there's going to be also like a second biome map, which is to do with the rock type and the rock area you're in, and that'll determine how caves generate as well, what type of caves you can expect. So there's lots of work that has to happen there, and lots of fun stuff to do there. It'll be definitely in depth, but there's a lot of time that needs to be spent there. Right, where was I? Casper, not Ghost, asks, I know a few people who really enjoy FPS games. So the question is, will there be many types of weapons like rocket launchers, miniguns, AKs, and stuff from shooters, or their space equivalents? So guns I want to steer away from for a couple reasons. It really warps the gameplay of a game. As soon as you add guns, it really changes how battles work and how, say, boss fights and fighting enemies work. And it really changes like how gear works in the game. And I want to keep it more to the you're encouraged to use melee weapons. We will have some range weapons, I'm sure, but it won't. The gameplay won't revolve around them. Because I don't want it to turn into oh, I'm just going to build myself a little bit of cover, peek out, and shoot everything down, and then it ends. Because that feels like it takes away a lot of depth to the gameplay. The warrior asks, will there be different POV like first and third person? Yes. Gavin Rector says, Maybe different types of man-made structures floating in the void, like generation ships or trade vessels. Maybe. Barrels. Yeah, or barrels. uh, so yes, imagine having old space battlefield when it destroyed ships from a time immemorial. That's a cool idea. Uh, Ray Cloiseau asks, while you're not having magic, would you have fantasy creatures, even renamed and modified, like dragons, balisks? Oh, why do you say this? Oh, Pegas? Is that Pegasi? Not sure. Or unicorns. Um, maybe. Yeah. We'll definitely have weird creatures. Whether they are those exact ones or something similar, maybe. Someone saying, "All right, we have to mod the guns in, boys." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, guns. I'm sure will get modded in. And someone saying, "Let's mod democracy, folks." Oh dear. Okay. Oh, apparently I pronounce it Pegasi. Oh, it's like Pegasi. Is that like Pegasus? I would assume so. Okay, let's see if we can show this. Right, I need to get my OBS up, and then just get this to load. So here's a little sneak peek. I need to switch screens. So we're having a new generation screen. And we can always put your seed in. What should our seed be? Oh, Discord's still popping on me. These are settings. There we go. And then this is our new inventory with the inventory I was talking about at the bottom. And we've now got your search feature, which is great. And you've got different categories which are still to be filled in, but you can get a good idea of how this all works now. So this is more for the style that we're going with for the game. And that's the hotbar at the bottom that we're currently going with. But yeah, lots to do. Oh, I've got the draw distance on too far for the editor, so we're lagging. The Unity editor really hates a big draw distance because it takes too much ran up, especially when I'm streaming. Oh dear. Oh, but the part of the games aren't working still, so still lots to do here, but that's a little sneak peek for you. Cut back. Oh, you can see I've broken all the menus while I'm at it, so that's my actual job for later today. Okay, right. I think that just about covers us off for this stream. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. With regards to the next YouTube video, we haven't started making that one yet. Basically, I'm working on a bunch of stuff to get ready for the playtest weekend. Stay tuned for that. We're getting close. But that stuff doesn't make sense to make a video about. It's stuff like cleaning up the UI, getting rid of little bugs here and there, that kind of stuff. And yeah, and then we'll be ready. So yeah, stay tuned. Join us on Discord if you want to know as soon as the playtest weekend's happening. No promises on timeline for that one because it's very much when it's ready, but I feel like we're getting close now. It's really exciting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next